So yeah, I got a lift kit on the truck finally. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, this is my 2011 Nissan Frontier Pro 4X. I've been using it just completely stock for about a year, doing backcountry exploring and camping all across Oregon and beyond. This truck has proven wonderfully capable and perfectly suited to the type of exploring and driving that I'm doing. That said, these trucks sit a little low from the factory. And while I've been pretty much able to get over just about everything that I encountered, on primitive, unmaintained trails, which is the kind of places that I like to go, I was pretty regularly hitting rocks in the roadbed and occasionally running into approach and departure angle issues, breakover angle issues. I'm not a rock crawler. I'm not looking for a big, towering lift. I just wanted to get up a little bit higher, and this 2-inch lift kit from Alldogs Offroad fits my needs perfectly. Now, full disclosure here, Alldogs Offroad did provide all of the lift suspension components on the truck. And I hired Dirt Road Garage over in Redmond, Oregon to do the install, and Aaron over there did a fantastic job. It went together very, very quickly. It only took him a couple of hours to get that on the truck, and here's a look at that.
While the installation of this kit is pretty straightforward, I don't have the space, tools, or really the comfort level for doing suspension work. So I headed over to Dirt Road Garage in Redmond, Oregon to have the components installed by an expert who could get the truck up on a lift, has all the necessary tools on hand, and is experienced modifying 4x4s. With the wheels removed, Aaron started in the back by removing the original Bilstein shocks. With a few more bolts removed, the stock leaf springs came off next. The Alldogs Offroad parabolic leaf spring went right on with no issue at all. The new U-bolts that Alldogs supplies for the leaf springs are heavier duty than the stock U-bolts, and these won't fit through the plate. It took Aaron just a few minutes to slightly enlarge these holes to accommodate the new U-bolts. The new Koni shocks fit right on, and just like that, the rear was done. In front, the bolts securing the bottom of the strut were pretty seized up, but a few minutes with some penetrating lubricant and an air tool finally did the trick. Again, here in front, the new components fit easily onto the Frontier. My kit included adjustable camber bolts. Apparently, in states where roads are salted in winter, the factory bolts mounting the lower control arms can be pretty seized up with rust. But they don't salt the roads here, and mine came apart without issue. Just took a bit of mild persuasion. I believe Alldogs estimates 3 to 4 hours for this job, but this only took Aaron about 2 hours, working entirely on his own. Now, I got a little lucky here. This was definitely a best case scenario. One might normally expect to encounter a few more issues disassembling the suspension, especially if your roads get salted in winter or you live in a coastal area. But once everything is disassembled, the new components bolt right on easily. Thanks again to Aaron at Dirt Road Garage for the excellent work and for letting me film the installation. This was well worth the drive from Eugene.
Now, this particular kit features Alldogs Offroad's own lift springs that they have developed for the Frontier, the coils in the front, and Alldogs Offroad's parabolic leaf spring replacements in the back. Now, these springs are basically what gives the truck its lift. They are paired with the Koni 82 series shocks. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I put out a video where we talked in depth with the people at Alldogs Offroad about truck suspension, lift kits in general, and this particular kit that we put on my truck in particular. So for a deeper dive into all of that, I'll put a link in the description below and up in the corner here. But in short, the parabolic leaf spring replacement that Alldogs has developed features, rather than a stacked up pack of uniform thickness leaves, that is the traditional design of a leaf spring. These use just 2 leaves that have a parabolic form, which has a number of benefits, including durability and weight. But the biggest benefit for me is the fact that they provide a smoother, nicer ride than a traditional leaf pack. Now, a big part of the improvement in the ride quality is thanks to the Koni 82 series shocks. Now, up till now, these have not really been very well known in the United States. Koni has had a presence here for decades on sports cars and not so much in the off-road world. However, around the rest of the planet, Koni's off-road shocks are actually very well known. They're very well loved. These shocks made an immediate and very noticeable difference in the ride of my Frontier on rough, bumpy, rocky roads. And don't get me wrong, the Bilstein 4600s that come from the factory on the Pro 4X Frontier are good shocks. The truck was very, very well behaved on the highway. The ride off-road was definitely stiff, jarring, jolting. It was probably the detail that I noticed the most coming from my Forester to the Frontier was that while the Frontier is more capable in many, many ways, the ride in the Forester was much, much better. With the Koni shocks on there and also the parabolic leaf spring in the rear, suddenly the ride in the truck feels much closer to the comfort level of the Forester. Maybe not quite that cushy, but really noticeable, significant improvement. I'm just absolutely thrilled with the difference that it makes, and I'm really looking forward to some upcoming backcountry adventures where I can really get out and enjoy the way this thing rides. Now, as far as how the truck sits now on the lift, well, it's around 2 inches higher. It might be sitting a little bit more than that in the back, but I am not fully loaded out. I'm sitting pretty empty back there at the moment. There's normally a lot more weight on the truck, so I think this is going to come down a little bit more here in the back. Before I had the lift installed last week, I did come out here into my local hills to get some before shots and some before footage so I could give you some direct comparisons like this. And these are logging roads out here. A lot of this is public land now, it's BLM land, but it's interspersed with private land. There's a lot of logging that goes on still up here. In fact, I've seen a number of log trucks just up here today. These roads up here tend to be pretty solid gravel roads. They don't get very gnarly. I do have one spot up here that I've been going to for years, actually, even back with the Forester. So when I was up here a couple of weeks ago, I drove out that trail, got some before footage, very carefully marked my spots so I could go back, set the camera right where I put it before, and give you some after shots. Came up here this morning to film the after shots, and here is what I found on that trail. They have blocked it off. They have made it impassable. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to show you specific after shots in those same spots because they've blocked the road. Now, I do know of another spot a few miles down the ridgeline here where there are a few sort of a little bit more rough, gnarly trails, and so let's go see if we can at least get to those. This is so much nicer than the last time I drove up this road. It's really remarkable. Now, if you drive a Nissan Frontier, odds are you've probably heard of Alldogs Offroad in the Nissan Frontier community. They are very well known, and they develop their own products specifically for this platform. They have a real passion for the Nissan Frontier, and they drive Nissan Frontiers. They're very familiar with it. I would encourage you to watch my sort of video interview I shot with the crew from Alldogs Offroad. They do also work with other makes and models, and I'll let them tell you what other rigs they work with.
Yeah, 4Runner, Xterra, Tacoma, FJ, the Lexus GXs, which are becoming popular right now.
New Ranger.
Yeah, the new Ford Ranger, and then the Chevy Colorado.
And then we did release springs for a Titan also.
Yep. So I've worked my way south along this ridgeline to another little area with some more interesting trails. That's unfortunate. I do have a couple other side roads I can try, but they're pretty tame.
One thing I also have definitely noticed is that getting into the truck is, it's a different story now. Even just 2 inches, it makes a very noticeable difference. Getting in and out of the back as well, also pretty noticeable difference. When I first started talking about the lift that I would put on this truck, I had a few people who were skeptical that 2 inches was gonna do anything at all and that I should go more. But I think 2 inches is just right for the type of stuff that I do. I am not rock crawling or hardcore off-roading in any way. I mean, I don't even like to call it off-roading. I'm driving on roads all the time. They may be primitive, gnarly dirt roads with rocks and stuff like that, but they're still roads. A couple of extra inches. Also, that gives me the clearance to add 33-inch tires instead of the 31-inch tires that are on this. So that will actually get me up just a little bit more, get that rear differential up a little bit. I realize it's probably impossible to tell in the footage how nicely the suspension is just soaking up those bumps. I drove that little stretch there probably twice as fast as I would normally have been able to take that comfortably. What I've noticed is that I feel much more relaxed out here driving these roads, and I think what it is that I used to be all sort of like a little bit tensed up in preparation for the jolts and jars that I would get. And now being out here driving around for about an hour and starting to get a feel for it, I'm realizing I don't have to like prepare myself for the jolts that I was getting before. Much more comfortable ride. It's unmistakable. How about the ride on pavement? For the most part, I don't notice a huge difference. It definitely absorbs bumps on rough little paved mountain roads like this. Definitely, again, more comfortable than the Bilsteins. On good, smooth highways, I really don't notice any difference at all. The ride was good before, the ride is good now. If anything, right after the lift was installed, I thought maybe I could detect a little bit more sense of body roll in corners and curves. Very, very subtle, and if it was there, I've already grown accustomed to it and I don't even notice that anymore. So, I mean, I'm sure it stands to reason. You raise the center of gravity of any vehicle, it's going to want to, you know, there's going to be a little bit more body roll. That's normal. One of the things people mention sometimes is gas mileage when you lift a vehicle. Now, I have not seen any change in my gas mileage at all, and I've had this on here for a couple of weeks. I've done around town driving, highway driving, just absolutely zero change in the gas mileage I was getting. Another question that I got a lot is if I replace the upper control arms on the front of the truck. And no, I have not. There is just enough clearance using the stock upper control arms. So just to sum up here, I am really happy with what this kit has done for the truck. It has given me a moderate increase in clearance, which will come in handy on the type of backcountry exploring that I do. The parabolic leaf set in the back and the Koni 82 series shocks made a huge difference in how the truck feels going down those bumpy backcountry roads. And really, the truck just looks better sitting up a couple of inches higher. These sit a little on the low side, I think, you know, from the factory, and now it looks more like a truck should look. So all in all, very pleased with the transformation from the Alldogs Offroad Koni kit. I do have a number of nice adventures planned throughout Oregon and across the rest of the West throughout 2022. And so you'll get to see more of the truck in action, more beautiful remote places. So I hope you'll follow along with me for that. Thanks for watching.